I think there were two phases of the COVID before we understand what happens post-COVID. I think there was a phase which was April to July, and there's been a phase which is August onwards. I'll come back to why I'm talking about these two. Because April to July was when the shock hit everybody. No working, no supply chain, you can't do this, you can't do that. There are containment zones and so on and so forth. And I think the most often felt aspect was food scarcity and supply chain economics and supply side economics work, which was the brand that was available sold. I was yesterday talking to some of my friends who said that, and he's in this business of distribution and stuff like that, and he was saying that near expired products in categories like biscuits were being demanded by the trade and by retailers and supplied and sold to consumers. It didn't matter what the brand was, they just wanted the product. Interestingly, well-oiled selling and distribution networks like ITC, Hindustan Unilever, and so on and so forth, they rode the tiger because they were so good in terms of their execution that they actually rode the tiger. And when I was talking to somebody from some of these companies, they said that, yeah, we had some problems, but nothing major. So some categories also boomed, which was like biscuits and food, and e-tailing boomed, especially on the food and grocery side. There were many first-time users of internet who took to buying things online because they weren't available offline, or they were restricted to going to the shops, or the shops were not open. There were long queues which they didn't want to participate in, and so on. Interestingly, I think the urban markets were more impacted than the rural markets. And the reason why small town and rural did not get impacted was that one, COVID didn't go there, it was an urban phenomenon. Two, they're reasonably self sufficient on a lot of categories. And therefore, if I have production of a local brand of biscuits or noodles or whatever, or pasta, whatever, that gets produced there and consumed there, and that did not get affected so much. It was the big metros, which are big centers, which are about 50% of FMCG, which got hit by all these supply chain bottlenecks and so on. So that's my understanding.
In March, as we all know, the lockdown started in many parts of the world, and retailers were forced to close down their stores. I think this was one of the hardest decisions. Professor Kannan will agree with me. I think we have taken in our life or seen in our life, where overnight on 14th of March, I still vividly remember, we had to close 2,000 stores in 9 countries in Middle East, and not knowing what will happen, because the whole idea was that we are closing for at best 2 weeks. It was a very short term plan, but nobody knew that it will continue to linger on for long, which would create havoc, which would result in, uh, you know, not only just closing store for longer duration, but laying off people, furloughing people, also in terms of managing cash flow. Because retail is a cash flow business. You get cash, and then you spend that cash to pay salary, to pay rental, to pay your supplier, to pay debts. And I think for most retailer, it was never faced crisis of cash flow. I think it was a new inflection point and a wake up call for most retailer. Anyway, retail was facing rough weather with online going up. I'm talking globally. But this COVID is a completely new animal, a new battleground for most retailer. Very few knew how to fight it, and there was palpable panic in the boardrooms. First, how long it will last. Second, what is short-term impact of it, and how it is going to change long-term. And many of the organizations set up war rooms to deal with this crisis. And top management were struggling on both sides. One, on the emotional side, how to deal with the safety of their employee and the safety of their customer as and when things would become normal. And also on the business side, how to navigate these tough times. People are taking advantage of this whole pandemic, especially the online retailer, food retailers, and also companies like Best Buy, who are reluctant to bring customer to their store, but now what they're saying that, hey, you can come to collect the material. I mean, collection, like their stores have become collection center, which was never foreseen, before. So rather than, waiting, because even if you order online today, you are in the queue. So it takes 10 days, sometimes 7 days. Even Amazon has faced this problem. Like even though you order food or whatever it is, it will come in 3 days, 4 days, and sometime maybe delayed. So I think people are using innovation, are trying to understand how to leverage on their real estate or store presence, because most of the top retailers are store based, and store is where all the costs are. I think people are trying to innovate, as I was telling before. Companies like home improvement company like Home Depot, what they've done is they are asking people to buy online, and by appointment they are asking people to come in their shop in a very safe environment, so that the whole store is only meant for you. So what they realize that even though people are shopping online, but 60% of them prefer to come to store, and they end up shopping more because they see more product, they see more things. So I think this is the way forward. But all said and done, it is going to be a big problem, not because of anything else, but people are there is economic crisis, people are losing job, people are going to spend less, and there will be less dollar uh, to go to retailers because of other priorities.
Ultimately, it's a race for who's going to be first in the mind of the consumer, who's going to meet the consumer's expectation better. We know that when I do the course on retailing, we have an entire class on e-tailing versus retailing, and we talk about what's the value proposition, what are the challenges that e-tailing has, and so on. And we know the touch and feel, and as you move into luxury products, there is a huge ambience that is created around the physical stores that helps the consumer to feel comfortable to buy, which is lacking in online. So I somehow get a feeling that it's going to be horses for courses in categories which are box type, where I don't need to worry about it's going to come to me tamper proof, or I don't have a lot of involvement. Online will take over and the Kirana will take over, because they are the two people offering huge value. One, because I can do anytime, anywhere shopping, and the other because of sheer convenience. And categories where I would need still involvement, touch and feel, and so on and so forth, will probably come back, the faster of the two, because there, once the consumer knows that I can walk to the store and get do my shopping without worry, let's say once the vaccine comes out or the infection kind of dies down, they'll go back. But I think they're not going to go back with the same size of wallet. The point which Srikanth made, which is the fact that I have lost 1 years of savings and earnings and that kind of thing, and that's going to have a overhang effect for maybe another couple of years. So for another couple of years, consumer demand is going to be depressed in these luxury and premium goods. And then it will probably, hopefully, come back.
So all in all, I think it's a big uh, jolt for all the retailers. Now we need to think in terms of what we should do to make ourselves come out of it in a much better shape. So there are a few things which I think retailers can do. One is align their value proposition to this new reality, prioritize people, purpose, and value-driven culture, develop strong omni-channel, redefine role of store in view of what is happening from social distancing perspective, and also on omni-channel front, using store as fulfillment and collection center. And value and discount format will definitely gain. And retailers with strong cash flow and balance sheet will be the winner. I think it's time to rethink and realign business model to face this new reality. And winner will be those who adapt faster to this new dynamics of customer and competition. It is going to be race not of fittest or best, but of the one who adapts to this reality fastest.